We find that a lot of life insurance agents out there need to learn what a no is in their business. Now, I'm not talking about when you get a no at the end of a full presentation, right? That's obvious. What I'm talking about is if you get a follow up objection, somebody who needs to think about it, somebody who needs to speak with their spouse, somebody that requires follow up. You need to determine right then and there if they're a likely yes or a likely no. And if they're a likely no, you should not follow up with them. I'm going to talk about that, why that's important for your business, and how to determine if somebody is a likely yes or a likely no. So let's talk about the importance first. So let's just say your closing rate on TV calls is 20%, which means that 80% of your leads will not result in a sale. So everyone is focused, including us, right? We're all focused on getting that 20% closing rate higher, being a better life insurance agent, right? And really understanding and knowing your customer and your scripting and getting that to 21, 22, 25% plus, 30% plus will result in more profits, right? That's clear as day. Okay. But nobody's really talking about optimizing that much bigger 80% of people who do not buy. Because if you can learn what a no is and maintain the same 20% closing rate, you will make more money because you're not wasting your time following up on people who were never going to buy from you, right? You're focused on your new leads and your follow-ups that you deemed as people who are highly likely to buy from you. You just need to understand who's going to buy and who's not going to buy at the end of a presentation. And you need to have the guts to label them and act on it, and act on the people who are not going to buy, who you label as that, and put them in a nurture sequence that sends automated follow-ups, texts and emails. So let's talk about who doesn't buy, okay? Many of you make a full presentation, you get an, I need to think about it, I need to speak with my spouse, and you say, okay, and you figure out a time to follow up with them, right? And that is the worst possible thing that you can do, okay, guys? It's gonna create this inefficient hole in your business if you follow up with everyone who says, I need to think about it, or I need to speak with my spouse. You really, when you get that objection, you really need to clarify if they really want the coverage. And if they do, then you follow up with them, right? But if they don't, if you don't think that they're going to buy, don't follow up with them. Put them in a nurture sequence, all right? Internally, we label agents who have a lot of follow-up as agents who sell to follow up, as opposed to agents who sell to close, right? And those agents in our call centers, they get put on a performance improvement plan, and we work on getting them better. And if they don't get better, they're out, because that is not how you build a successful, profitable life insurance business. In our call centers, what matters is profit per seat, just like you, right? Profit on your seat, right, is what you're trying to build up. More income there, right? So the weaker agents are the ones who are selling to follow up. And that's what we've recognized, okay? So how do you know if you're one of these weaker agents that are selling to follow up? Guys, if you have significantly more follow-ups than you do sales, you have a problem. You have a follow-up problem. You really need to implement a process to figure out who your likely yeses are and your likely nos are, okay? And the likely nos, get them out of your follow-up queue. You're wasting your time. You're following up with people who likely never intended to buy life insurance or never intended to buy life insurance from you. So they were just nice to, they wanted to say, I need to think about it, because they couldn't tell you no on the phone because it's uncomfortable. So you need to sniff those people out and not follow up with them, and put all of your time into your new leads and the people who you deem as likely to buy. That's what we're talking about here. Follow-ups are what bury so many agents in this business. I mean, and it's a result of weak presentations, really, and weak, objection handling, because now you're going to be chasing prospects who had no intention of buying, and you become a little jaded, right? Because you're calling people who never pick up the phone. It feels good to get a follow-up for a lot of agents, and it shouldn't feel good to get a follow-up, right? Because you didn't get a no, you got a follow-up. Oh, I got a chance, right? That is not good. The best result is a yes, of course. The next best result is a no, right? A clear no. And the worst you can get is a maybe, a follow-up, okay? You really have to label people who are worthy of your time to follow up. And yes, you will make mistakes because you can't be 100% certain that somebody is a likely no or a likely yes. But overall, you will know, you will be able to cut out most of the people who you deemed as a no, so you can spend more time with your new leads and the people who you um, are likely going to buy from you, right? And you'll sell more of them because you're putting more time on them and not letting them fall through the cracks instead of having this big long list of follow-ups of people who will never buy from you. You have to have the guts to label them as no after spending the money to buy the lead or spending the money on the lead, the cost per conversation, and spending 30 45 minutes on the phone with somebody and then cutting loose. You have to learn to do that, because if somebody's not going to buy, you're just wasting your time and your money by following up with them 10 15 20 30 times, right, and never getting a hold of them, and then thinking like, oh, nobody's picking up the phone, right? And you kind of get this jaded view of the business because your follow-ups are not closing, right? Put all your weight into the presentation, and then figure out right there if they're worth following up or not. Okay, you need to learn what a no is in this business. If somebody's telling you I'm not interested, is that actually a no disguised as an I'm not interested? If somebody says I need to speak with my spouse, is that actually no disguised as I need to speak with my spouse? Right? So how you do that is you get them to tell you why they want the coverage again. If somebody says, if price is an issue, for example, you can say, okay, let's set price aside for a moment. Is this something you even really want? Like, challenge them. Okay, you have nothing to lose here. Get them to tell you that they want the coverage. You just made a great presentation. If you did it right, you did your emotional discovery. You got them to tell you why they need the coverage. You got them to think about what would happen if they didn't buy life insurance and something happened to them, right? You got them to think about all that. And if they regurgitate that to you at the end and they say they want it, yes, they're worth a follow-up. But if they don't, right, and they just said, no, I just need to speak to my spouse, and they're just kind of standoffish, they're not worth following up, in my opinion, right? Put them in a good nurture sequence of some, so they get texts and emails, and maybe they'll be in a better position later in the future. But you need to learn to cut those people out so you can focus your efforts and be so much more efficient in your day by talking to people who are highly likely to buy or brand new leads, right? That's where you want to focus your attention on in the business. But you have to learn what a no is. You have to build a process in your business so that you can label highly likely to buy, not likely to buy. You follow up with the highly likely to buys. You do not follow up with the likely not to buy. Okay? You have to have the guts to be able to do that. I know it's tough. You spent money in the lead. You spent time on the phone with them. But this is a business, guys. Your time is money. Following up with somebody who will never pick up the phone, or let's just say you tried 10, 15 times, you finally got them on the phone, but they're not interested. What's the point? That is such a waste of time. It's a waste of your energy when some of those calls could have been made to somebody who is highly likely to buy. Okay? You're going to be a much more efficient agent. You'll be a much more profitable agent if you can learn what a no is in this business and put that process in place, especially at the end of a call that will result in a follow-up. And really dig in deep and look at your own business and really understand if you have this problem. If you have way more follow-ups than you do sales, you really need to build this process into your business, because you're going to get burnt out, guys. Okay, you're going to be calling people who will never buy. It's gonna mess with your mindset a little bit. But if you can only talk to people who are very interested or new leads, guys, and that's all you're doing all day long, this business, it's going to get much, much better from you. You're going to be a lot more profitable. You're going to get a lot more confidence rather than chasing people down. Okay? Just remember, most life insurance call centers, they do not allow their agents to follow up. They have to one-call close. So guys, make sure you're selling to close, not selling to follow up, and make sure you have a process in place to learn what a no is, and don't follow up with those no's by making calls to them. Just put them in an automated sequence, okay? Hope that helps.